Good morning, Facebook. One thing that I noticed when President Obama became president is that he had a totally head of brown hair, and within a very short period of time, he's turning gray. And I'm looking at my hair in this picture video here, and I'm noticing my hair is turning gray, and I've only been doing this for about 3 weeks. So anyway, good news. Have a YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and type in Virginia Law Office, one word, Virginia Law Office. Now, the guy who set this up for me has migrated all of the videos over except for last night's video at Suffolk and the video right now that we're making. Now, I'm going to get those working, but I did want to show you something about the conversation we had last night in Suffolk. So I've been trying to come up with some strategies of how to get some teeth into these resolutions. Now, these Second Amendment resolutions are, they're nice, they're comfortable, but they are not going to really have any teeth. And so I decided to make a resolution or think about a way that we could actually give the localities something with teeth. And one thing that localities know about is money. They know about money. And so I brought that to the Suffolk City Council last night for them to talk about. And I wanted to tell you what my ideas were. And I think it would be a great idea to ask our localities to do a similar resolution. Now, what's cool about this idea is that even if you have a locality that does not like Second Amendment stuff or doesn't want to go against the governor, we have the ability to talk to them fiscally. Now, localities have to run a balanced budget. It's constitutionally required. They're not allowed to go into a negative deficiency like the federal government can. The state government has the same obligation. They have to have balanced budgets. So what I talked to them about yesterday is what is the true fiscal impact of these laws going into place? Now, here's the interesting thing. Senate Bill 16 has a fiscal impact statement, and I've posted it here. And what they said that the fiscal impact of this law was going to be was $50,000 annually, total across the board. And the reason that they said that is that the estimated amount of the necessary appropriation cannot be determined for the periods of imprisonment of state adult correctional facilities. Therefore, pursuant to Chapter 854 of the 2019 Acts of the Assembly, it requires the Virginia Criminal Sentencing Commission to assign a minimum fiscal impact of $50,000. Now, I'm going to show you something. It's going to be a lot more than that. Here's the true math in Virginia. We have 2.5 million gun owners. Probably about 25% of them, by all reasonable accounts, have prohibited weapons, or what will be considered prohibited weapons. Probably half of them are going to give them up. So that leaves us with roughly about maybe 300,000 people in Virginia who are going to have some kind of a prohibited weapon, whether it's a felony, whether it's a misdemeanor, whatever it is, it's going to be something. Now, who has to carry the burden? The locals, the local police departments, the local jails, the local prosecutors, the local sheriff's office. They have to carry the burden of enforcing state law. So if I'm going to arrest you because you have a prohibited weapon and you go to jail for 1 day, that's $100. I mean, by all standards, it's about $100 a day to put somebody in jail. So there's about 300,000 people that are going to have to be, chased down and prosecuted under these new rules. So, we are talking about $30 million a day to the Commonwealth if all of these people were arrested on the same day. Now, clearly that's not going to happen. It's going to be kind of a rolled out kind of a thing. But the true fiscal impact of 300,000 people being felons, at this point, is going to cost the Commonwealth $30 million a day. Now take 30 million and multiply it times 365. I think it's like more than $1 billion. Has the state set that money aside for the localities? No, they haven't. They're saying that the fiscal impact is going to be $50,000. That's a lie. That's a false statement, and the reason that it says that is they don't even know how much it's going to cost. But it's going to cost a lot of money. And who has to bear that burden? The locals. So I talked about, so I'm a lawyer, right? And when you're a carpenter and you got to fix something, you go look in your tool bag. When you are a plumber, you have a tool bag. Well, my tool bag is the law. So what tools do I have as a lawyer to offer the localities to determine what can be done? I talked about Code Section 15.2-1404, which allows localities to sue or be sued in matters related to their governmental duties. And I also talked about 15.2-1409, which says the governing body of any locality may make such an investigation relating to government affairs as it deems necessary, and they may employ financial, legal, and other personnel as they deem fit. So here's the concept. Go back to the city councils, go back to the board of supervisors, and have them pass the resolution that I'm posting right here on Facebook, which basically just says, in a nutshell, we want a true fiscal impact statement once these laws come down. We're directing our city attorneys or our county attorneys to give us a true fiscal impact. How much is it going to cost to jail these people? How much is it going to cost to prosecute these people? How much is it going to cost the sheriff's office to enforce this, or the local police department to enforce this? What is our loss to tax base when we start calling people felons that are paying taxes? What is the true fiscal impact? How many more jails are we going to have to build? Because if we're going to have to put hundreds of thousands of people in jail, we're going to have to build a lot more local jails, because they start in the local jails first before they go onto the state correctional facilities. What is the true fiscal impact to the localities? And we want to know that 60 days before the implementation of the law. So if the law goes into effect on July 1 and these laws pass in March, we want to know what those are by mid-April, city attorney or county attorney. And you need to employ people. You need to employ accountants. You need to employ CPAs. You need to employ people that can make these decisions and tell us in the locality of how much it's going to cost. By my calculations yesterday, it was going to cost the city of Suffolk probably close to $250 million for 1 year to enforce laws that would make people felons who own prohibited weapons. Now, Suffolk doesn't have the money. They have maybe about $9 million in surplus. So and I could be off on these numbers. I get that. I'm not a government guy. I could be off, but it's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of money. And so then Suffolk needs to say, hey, Richmond, here's our true fiscal impact report to our locality for these laws. Where's the money? We need the money to do this. The sheriffs need the money. The Commonwealth attorneys need the money. We need money to run the jails. We need money for the police to go out and round up all these people you want us to round up. And until you give us the money, we can't enforce the law. We don't have the resources to enforce the law. That's legal. Okay? Look, that's the bottom line. That's the legal argument. There's your teeth, localities. Isle of Wight, there's the thing you've been asking for. Chesapeake, that's it. Virginia Beach, who can't even get a Second Amendment declaration moving, there's your legal argument. We recognize that the Dillion rule says we can't make laws, but you haven't given us the money to be able to enforce the laws. And until you do, we can't follow your declarations. Mr. Attorney General, the laws will be enforced. Fine, fund it. We need the money at the local level to go around and run these people up, put them in jail, lose their tax base. We need all of that money to come from Richmond to do that. That would be hundreds of billions of dollars annually, and they don't have it. The state doesn't have it. The localities don't have it. Nobody has the kind of money that they're talking about to make something like Senate Bill 16 a reality. So local governments, pass this. It's a resolution of fiscal responsibility. All right. And it just says we have the authority to open an investigation. We're going to open an investigation as to the true fiscal impacts of any laws that are related to firearms and Second Amendment stuff. We're going to open an investigation, and we're going to have a report. And if we have a report, we're going to then ask Richmond for the money. If they don't give it to us, we're going to file a lawsuit against the state under 15.2 1404 for the money. Done. And when the state can't write the check, then enforcement goes out the window. What are the police supposed to do otherwise? Are they supposed to ignore the robberies and the rapes and the DUIs and all of that and put all of their resources to rounding up lawful gun owners? That's what they're going to have to do if Richmond doesn't fund them. So Governor Northam said the localities will have consequences for declaring these Second Amendment sanctuaries. Well, you know what? Richmond has a consequence for imposing a law that's going to talk about making people hugely illegal. Huge populations of their illegal. And if they're going to do it, and it's going to be constitutional, then make them pay for it before you ask the local governments to enforce those rules. To the local governments who watch this show, and watch these videos, this is the right thing. A resolution of fiscal responsibility. I've posted it right here in the Facebook. Feel free to tweak it. I would ask everybody who watches this to go to your next city council, your next board of supervisors meeting with this argument. I have sat through time and time and time again listening to people talk about their Second Amendment rights, and I get that they're passionate, but it's like speaking French to somebody who only speaks Spanish. The local government can't do anything about that. What do we want them to do? Just say, F you, Richmond, we're not going to enforce the laws? They can't do that. That's violative of the Dillion rule. They can't do that. And just like they said in Suffolk, they're going to enforce any laws until a court says otherwise. That's the right path. That's what this really is. I've always said Second Amendment sanctuaries are nothing more than just a statement, a political statement. And they're a loud political statement, but they are not they're nothing more than that. We need to now talk to them at a level they can understand. You can't afford to enforce the rules that they're proposing. So, push this. I think this is the winner. I think this is the way we get the locals to literally do something because they have to. They can't ignore the money equation side of this. And I get that like sheriffs have their own budget and prosecutors have their own budget and all that, but the fiscal report can still come down, and until it's funded, the law is dead. It has to be dead. Until they can properly fund what it's going to take to truly enforce the law should be unable to be enforced by the locals. And that's what we do. We turn it into a money conversation, not a Second Amendment conversation, and then let the state tell us how they're going to fund hundreds of billions of dollars to enforce. I like it. I hope you do too. I'm going to go down to Virginia Beach today, and I'm going to file this, and I'm going to ask for it to be put on the January 7th resolution. And I want them just to simply say, we will ask for a true fiscal impact study, because this garbage on Senate Bill 16 of it being $50,000 is barely and keeps one person in jail. It's $35,000 a year, barely and keeps one person in jail for an entire year. So that's a falsity. Let the locals do a true investigation. They have the authority to do it. They have the authority to sue if they're not getting funded. So let's push that. That's the winning argument as far as I'm concerned. That is the tool in the tool bag that can give some localities some teeth when they're saying, hey, Richmond, we want to enforce your laws. We understand you're the supreme law of the land here in Virginia, but we can't because we don't have the money. When are you going to give us the money? Let's make that argument, Richmond, or Facebook, and let's see how that goes. Again, Virginia Law Office for the YouTube page. All of the videos except this one and the one last night are on there, and you can index them. So if you want to, type in like Senate Bill 16 or Senate Bill 64, it's all indexed. You can subscribe to that. You can share those videos. It's a lot easier than Facebook. So and thank you to the guy who I can't even say his name because he doesn't want to be known. But thank you so much for that. All right, guys, have a great day.